District in the County of Ocean, that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. The notice has been posted on the Pinelands Regional School District's website in the Board of Education office, junior high school and high school buildings. The notice was also filed with the municipal clerks of Bass River Township, Eagleswood Township, Little Egg Harbor Township, and the Borough of Tuckerton. Roll call, please.
Sure. Ms. Betty?
Here.
Ms. Grasso?
Here.
Ms. Johnson? Here. Ms. Patty Martin?
Here.
Ms. McVeigh?
Here.
Mr. Vaux?
Here.
Ms. Crystal Martin? Here. Mr. Hewitt?
Here.
We are in session.
And we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item will be approval of minutes. Recommend approve the following minutes from June 15th, regular and executive, June 29th, regular and executive minutes. May I have a motion, please?
Motion. Second.
Are there any questions?
Yes. This is, again, the dates are June.
Correct. All right, seeing there are no questions, more questions, let's go to a roll call vote.
So just as a note, I have that Ms. Betty was absent during the first executive in June 15th, and Ms. Johnson was absent for both, and Ms. Grasso was absent for the June 29th. Ms. Betty?
So yes to everything I was here for.
Noted. Ms. Grasso?
Yes. Wait, hold, back up.
You were
I was
absent
absent here, but I was on the computer. I was there the whole time.
For
Does
June
that mean
29th?
anything?
Yes. She was there the whole time for June 29th.
Okay.
So
Virtual.
she says, yeah.
I mean,
Okay, well. All right, so I will record your vote as a yes. Okay. Ms. Johnson?
Abstained June 15th for both. And I thought I was in June
Good.
29th.
Yeah, I have,
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
have it here.
Then, yes.
Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Vaux?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we have item number 4, superintendent's report.
Hello, everybody. I'm not used to being first. Usually we have our student reports first. Our extended school year program started at the beginning of July, and it has been great having students and staff back in the high school building. I would like to give a shout out to Mrs. Shannon Sobiak, who was selected by the New Jersey Department of Education to take part in the Social Studies Implementation Program as a part of the review of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for Social Studies. This prestigious appointment allows her to represent Pinelands Regional at the state level and take part in work that will directly impact New Jersey educators and will support student achievement. The annual garden tour took place on Sunday, June 28th. This fundraising event for senior scholarships was very well attended. A special thank you to Jen Soralik for her hard work in organizing the event, which raised over $10,000 in scholarship money for our graduating seniors. I would also like to thank the staff members who volunteered the whole day for the event: Erica Schitarella, Samantha Palmer, Mark Smith, Shannon Sobiak, Maria Grasso, Lynn Heinrichs, Lisa Mahan, Christine Papernick, and Joanna Savage. Our advanced placement scores are in unofficially, and our AP scholars did a great job this year. Thanks to our AP teachers for preparing our students. As a part of the CIT-NJ grant, Scott Beaton and Kathy Tierney delivered a highly attended presentation on June 29th in Trenton, showcasing the Pinelands Regional School District's Community Pathways 18 to 21-year-old program. This presentation was attended by representatives from the New Jersey Department of Education, the Special Education Parent Advocacy Network, Rutgers University, and various school districts. Their presentation highlighted the district's innovative transition program designed to support students ages 18 to 21. This presentation showcased how Pinelands developed an in-district community-based program to reduce costly out-of-district placements while increasing individualized instruction, daily community integration, workplace learning, independent living skills, and family collaboration. Mr. Beaton and Mrs. Tierney also emphasized the importance of dedicated staffing, interdisciplinary teamwork, and strong parent partnerships in overcoming implementation challenges. This session was extremely well received, resulting in invitations for Mr. Beaton and Mrs. Tierney to present again for the New Jersey Department of Education, as well as to other school districts, so as to provide guidance as they plan to develop their own in-district 18 to 21 transition programs. Since its inception, Pinelands Community Pathways Program has increased community inclusion, strengthened family engagement, and reduced out-of-district placements, attracted tuition students from neighboring districts, and expanded employment opportunities for our students, positioning Pinelands as a leader in innovative transition programming. We are very proud of the work that has been done in this program under the supervision of Mrs. Marissa Elwood. Thank you to Scott and Kathy for disseminating information about the great programs we offer here at Pinelands Regional. The School-Based Youth Services Summer Program is in full swing. We are offering 35 programs and have 500 participants. Part of our summer offerings include our 7th grade and 9th grade transition programs, both of which help our transitioning students to the junior high school and high school. Through this program, we are employing 15 Pineland students, providing an opportunity for our students to hone their employment skills while also earning money. We also have numerous student volunteers, and without them, many of our programs would not be possible. Of course, a special shout out to all of the staff that developed programs to deliver to our community, such as our School-Based Youth Services Director, Janelle Gonzalez. We are also proud to help support the new Generation Green Camp, a grant-funded initiative where students in grades 4 through 8 learn about climate and sustainability, among other things. This free program is being offered for 2 separate weeks, and the New Jersey Department of Education is coming to observe this program on August 6th. The Wildcat Shack is a nonprofit organization with whom our district partners. Together, we work to ensure that our community members of low socioeconomic status have access to necessities such as food, clothing, and toiletries. On August 12th, the Shack will be hosting an open house/luncheon at the junior high school location in collaboration with the Southern Ocean County Chamber of Commerce. All are welcome to attend. Thanks to Kathy Schaefer and Allison Lawrence and Dan Grasso, who serve as liaisons to us with the Shack and who lead the charge in organizing events such as this open house. Lastly, throughout the summer, the leadership team works behind the scenes to prepare for the most exciting day of the year, the first day of school. We can't wait to welcome our newest 7th grade Wildcats and welcome back our current students on Thursday, September 3rd. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Clark. We're going to move into item number 5, our work session, board forum. I have a couple things I want to share, and then we'll open it up to the rest of the board. I had the privilege of meeting with Dr. Clark and with Crystal Martin this week just to go over a number of different things. Just the first thing to let you know is that the vacancy has been posted for the open seat for the Board of Education for a Little Egg Harbor resident. The reading of it, it says the Pinelands Regional School District has a vacancy on the Board of Education to be filled by a resident of the Township of Little Egg Harbor. The term shall be from the date of appointment through December 31st, 2026. Registered voters who are citizens of the United States and have lived in the Township of Little Egg for at least 1 year and are interested in filling this position should send a letter providing information about themselves and summarizing their interest in the position. In order to permit additional interest individuals to apply, the Board of Education is reopening the application period. All letters must be received by 3 p.m. on Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. So that has been posted in numerous places. As Dr. Clark and Crystal and I met together, we talked about the fact of, talked about the idea of improving Board of Ed involvement and transparency, and we're going to be taking a look at the different committees that are listed in our bylaws and begin the process of implementing them. One of the things that we are also going to try to do is schedule the committee meetings at times that are more convenient for board members. Oftentimes the committees involve staff members here at school, but there are many who cannot get here for a 2 o'clock meeting. So we're going to be working through that and should have some more information for you at the next board meeting. We also discussed the idea, Crystal had mentioned this to me, that when we have some of our executive sessions that have been a little bit lengthy as of late, that we may find a place to reconvene ourselves in and allow the public to stay in here. Something we talked about. I reached out to the president of the Little Egg Harbor School District Board of Education to get together to talk so we can begin to foster a better relationship with them. Crystal and I discussed with Dr. Clark the idea also of reaching out to the Eagleswood Township Board of Education and the Tuckerton Borough School District Board of Education as well, so we can all work on the same page as a district together as we serve our communities. We talked about discussing a process to help with new board member onboarding. I'm not sure what all of your experiences were like when you joined the board, but there's a lot of information that's given to you. And both of us had the opportunity at the School Boards Association conference last year to look at different pieces of information that were given out about onboarding process and school board calendar for the year, all things that we'd like to incorporate to help our elected members of the Board of Education be able to do their jobs more effectively. We talked about policy revision, which is actually one of the committees, specifically looking at our board bylaws. We know that we need to take a look at the process for the approval of the appointment of new members and the election of officers to make those happen in a more orderly fashion when it comes around. Dr. Clark is attempting to get the agenda out to us earlier, so we have more time to review it prior to the meeting. We're going to try, as they are able to get the agenda out earlier, we're going to try and submit questions earlier to her so she has an ample time to respond to them. We do appreciate your responses that you gave to the questions that were asked. We also talked about the idea of work sessions at different times. I know nobody wants an extra meeting right now. We've had a few of those, but talking about the possibility of using board work sessions at different times so that the board can be informed and be involved in some of the decision making and work through those things. I really appreciate the opportunity this week to talk with Crystal and with Dr. Clark just about all of these different things, and appreciate all of you and the effort that you put into serving our district here. That's all I had. Did I forget anything, Crystal, that we talked about?
No.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for board forum? All right. We will move on to new business. I'd like to make a motion to deny the grievance filed by employee number 5221. That's a motion to deny the grievance filed by employee number 5221. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
Who was this?
I'm sorry?
I was asking who the second was.
Okay. Seeing that there are no questions, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Miss Betty?
Yes.
Miss Grasso?
Yes.
Miss Johnson?
No.
Miss Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Vaux?
Yes.
Miss Crystal Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Does anyone have anything else for new business?
I actually had a question. Maybe you could help answer it. As far as the open seat, if we elect someone for the term of the August through December 31st, if they wanted to continue, they passed their time for the July 31st deadline to get their petition in. So how would that happen if they want to, they wouldn't, they would have to skip a year
Yeah, or they,
or
I mean, if,
do like
if,
a write-in campaign?
Yeah, they could do a writing campaign.
Okay.
Yep, but other than that,
They would have to
do it right now, get their,
s-
you know,
the
get their numbers,
signatures
get
in.
the petition signed.
Okay. Oh,
It is-
so the vacancy would be on there because
It
it's
is
2 seats.
on there. We had enough time. Yes, so there's two little
But
like
no
seats.
name would be on there.
there's open seats, so there's.
Correct.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be
So
the
depending on
write-in
who's
campaign.
running.
Right.
Yes, we spent some time reading through the bylaws.
Okay.
and
Yeah,
there's a
'cause I
lot
was
of-
like,
It's a very
oh.
precise but very wordy bylaw about what happens exactly when.
Yeah.
Good question. Any other new business? All right. Yes. Yes, and under new business, we also have a presentation by Mr. Tim Tehan from the New Jersey School Boards Association. So we're going to welcome him back.
Good evening, everyone. So this is roles and responsibilities, personnel, finance, and curriculum and instruction, and a little bit on the board self-evaluation. So a whole lot, but we'll get through it. There we go. Oops. So it's always best to start off with the general roles and responsibilities, and this is probably the easiest way of explaining it, and it's kind of like going back to preschool and preschool days of blocks, and this is board, your job is what, and the superintendent and the administrative team are the how. It's the easiest way of looking at it, and it's the best question to ask yourself whenever you're posed with something to say, is this a what, or is this a how? And another way of looking at it is, I'm jumping, all right, is to also look at it as if you are an architect, you're drawing designs, and with those designs, that's your big picture, like what you would like to see at the end product, and the builder is more like the superintendent and administration. They're the ones that are actually doing the work and figuring out as they go along, you know, what pieces need to be changed in order to realize that vision that you set when you initially drafted or had the draft done of the plans. I don't know if it's me. That's okay. Are you clicking? Oh, okay. All right. So communication is going to be key. It doesn't matter which area you're looking at. And that communication is multiple ways. One way is between from board member to board member, committee to board, board to committee. It's also from superintendent to board and board to superintendent. And so when you look at all of that, it's making sure that everyone's in the loop, that no one's coming to a board meeting and say, this is the first I'm hearing of it. Because when you start to hear that, that really should be a red flag to you that there's something that is not being conveyed that really should be. And so you want to make sure that when something is not being shared, you ask the questions so that you can get the information, but also realize there's going to be times where you're going to be asked something, you're going to ask something that you're going to get an answer of, I can't tell you that right now, or I can't tell you that at all because it's confidential privileged information. So board members aren't privy to 100% of everything, but you are privy to a lot more than the general public. Sorry. I'll just tell you click. Is that easier? Okay. So why is communication important? It's basically, if you think about it, we are all like goldfish. Hopefully we're not floating at the top of the bowl, but we are all like goldfish in public education. Everybody can see what we're doing. And so we need to make sure that everything that we're saying, everything that we're doing is in the best interest of the kids, and that we're aware that people are watching, people are listening. And that if we don't tell our own story, somebody else will. Whether it be on social media, whether it be at, the Wawa, whether it be at a sporting event, people are going to be talking, and when they do, they're actually generating the story. And that's not the way it should work. It should be actually you telling your own story as a district. Next one. I can do it? Okay. There you go. All right, so continuous improvement. One of the things you want to look at as a board is continually improve. Just like we want our superintendent, we want our teachers, we want our custodians, you name it, in the district, we want everyone to be continually improving. And part of that is a reflection piece. You want to be looking back and saying, what am I doing well, and what can I improve upon? And then when you come up with those things that you can improve upon, you create a plan to how you're going to improve it, and you are constantly reflecting on that process as well. So general takeaways, effective communication is really the foundation of everything. And in order for you to have positive relationships with each other as team members, not as personal friends or anything like that, it's about being on this team. So you have to make sure that you're actively listening to each other, respecting the different perspectives that are probably being shared during meetings or during committee meetings, and making sure that you are building trust among each other by making sure there's no surprises. So we're going to go over some of the committees, and we're going to break it down into basically the 3 different roles within each one. And when you look at personnel, we're going to start off obviously with the board. Your role in personnel, and just also understand that many districts do not have personnel committees. So if you do, which is totally up to you whether you do or don't, there are some parameters that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about a personnel committee. But when you're looking at personnel, your job as a board is really to vote on those recommendations that are coming from the superintendent. That's one of the reasons why within your board agenda it says on recommendation of the superintendent of schools, or some wording like that. Your job is also to be very involved in negotiations and making sure that you're creating contracts with your various bargaining units to make sure that you're conveying the information that's in there, and that you're creating a contract that you as a district can live with. You're also responsible for that organizational chart, who reports to who. Obviously, you're going to talk to your superintendent to get input into the actual structure, but you're going to need that. And that's important because that organizational chart, when you're talking about the chain of command within the district, for your community to know who to go to in any given situation, that's the reference point for them. One of the things you are going to be involved in is talking about positions, not necessarily people. There's a difference between those two. So when you're talking about positions, you're talking about maybe adding a position, removing a position, tweaking a position, but it's more general. It's about the position. It has nothing to do with the people that are currently sitting in those positions, because those decisions about who gets moved where is an administrative decision, or whether somebody is not renewed or is renewed, that's an administrative decision. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with that, which is part of that might be looking at their experience or their certifications to try to put people in the right positions. One of the things that a board should never be involved in is the actual interviews. The only interviews you would be involved in for any personnel matter would be the hiring of your superintendent. That's the only time that a board member is actually involved in interviews. And we actually have articles on our New Jersey School Board's website to this effect, because that question does come up often, where it says, can we as board members sit in on interviews? You can't, or you shouldn't, and if you do, you don't participate in them. You're simply a bystander. When you're sitting there, you should never actually give your personal opinion about the candidate or candidates. You don't say who you would want versus who you wouldn't want. Also, after the board, after the superintendent makes the recommendation of any candidate, your job is not to ask or to even see the resumes of all those people that applied. You only are looking at the person that was actually being recommended to make sure that they fit the requirements of the position. So the superintendent's job is to recruit, do the interviews, or have their group of administrators do the interviews, and then make those recommendations of who they would like to hire, renew, not renew, or promote into new positions. They're also responsible for overseeing the staff evaluations. That doesn't necessarily mean they're doing all of the staff evaluations. The whole administrative team does that, but the superintendent is ultimately responsible for that. And then making sure that the professional development that's being offered within the district is being tailored to the needs of the staff, as well as, you know, anyone else, any other adults that you may have that are participating in it. For the business administrator, it always comes down to dollars and cents, but they are responsible for managing the cost of personnel. So when you renegotiate a new contract, there's a cost that's associated with that. So that should be a back and forth conversation between the board and the business administrator, so that what you're agreeing to is not something that you can't afford. So you have to listen to your business administrator on their insights into how they're managing all of these costs. And all the things that are involved in that are pretty extensive. It's payroll, it's benefits, and we know that salaries and benefits make up most of your budget for most districts, and it's anywhere between 80 and 90%. So there's not a lot left over after that. But there's also pension payments that are part of this, and reporting out that, and then making sure that when you are going through negotiations, your business administrator will actually be providing different calculations for the contract, as well as a chart of where everyone is at. And that's something that your team and the association's team will come to an agreement on, because that will be the basis when they decide on percentage increases. It'll be based upon that one. In the area of finance, which is probably the hottest button issue right now in every district across the state, the board's job is really, you're the guardian of all those finances. You have to make sure that your oversight is there, and that you're making sure that funds are being spent the way that you had envisioned right from the start. And how do you do that? That doesn't mean you're going into the business administrator's office and going line by line through the budget and seeing, you know, what is being spent, when it's being spent, what it's being spent on. Your job is really to be looking at those things that you're given at every board meeting, which is your monthly reports, your secretary's reports, your bills list. All of that gives you insights into what is being spent and how much is being spent. Your job is also, when you're going through that budget process, to really understand it. Not to be the budget expert, but to truly understand why money is being allocated for different things on the priority list. Is it actually supporting your efforts as a district on those goals that you've established? And then another one is setting the local tax levy, whether you're going to go up 0%, 1%, 2%. I had a district where the board decided they wanted a 0% tax increase. And they didn't actually communicate that with the business administrator before they announced that at the board meeting. So I think he almost had a stroke at the table. But ultimately what happened was they went with a 0% tax increase. You can imagine what happened as a result. They had to make cuts in order to address that. Well, the board wasn't happy where the cuts occurred. The problem is, when we get into what versus how, the what was, we want a 0% tax increase. The how is what the superintendent and team had to do in making the determination of where those cuts would be. So be careful when you set that local tax levy. Understand the impact of it, whether it's impact on your taxpayers or impact on your students, because no matter what, we have finite dollars, and those finite dollars can only go so far, and you want to make sure it's being spent the way that you intended it to be. The superintendent's job is really to set those priorities. So when you are building a budget as a district, there's the needs versus the wants. The need is a requirement. You have to have it. So, for example, your special ed costs, that's going to be a requirement. You don't have a choice on that. Your salaries and benefits, for the most part, are a need, unless you change some. and if you reduce staff, that would be a difference with that. But for the most part, that is a need. A want would be, well, it would be nice if we had a little bit extra money to do X, Y, and Z, or to hire another staff member. Those are the wants. So a superintendent and their team will go through that list, that master list of all the expenses, and they'll start to prioritize it. Because you're building a budget way in advance of when you actually know what your state numbers are. And so if those funds come in higher or lower, you need to be able to pivot really quick. And the way that happens is you go to the priority list and you start to pull from that priority list and to reduce your budget, or to add from those want lists to the budget so that you actually create a budget that is reflective of what you're hoping to achieve. The business administrator is the money person, and so they will actually draft the budget based upon the requirements that have been given to them. They will manage all the investments within the district. They will oversee all the purchases and the purchase orders, and they're also involved in their spearheading the bidding. And if you've never been involved in bidding, try to avoid it because they sometimes can become very contentious. So they're involved in all of that. They have to make sure that the district stays within the spending limits. And there's a lot of requirements that are set forth that they can move funds for a certain percentage, but they can't after a certain percent. They have to get executive county superintendent approval, or they have to get board approval to do all these things. All of those regulations are really in the wheelhouse of the business administrator, and they'll be able to tell you what they have to do and why they have to do it, and what laws are actually guiding that. And they do act in many districts as a board secretary. In some larger districts, you may see a business administrator and then a separate person as a board secretary, but in most districts, it's a combined position. And in the area of curriculum instruction, the board, you actually set that educational policy, which you do actually in all areas. So technically that one could be in every single area, because all the policies that you create within the district do fall under the board. Those are the whats. The regulations are the hows. Those actually fall under administration. And that's why you don't see a regulation for every policy. So the policies are yours. The regulations are the superintendent's. And if you realize that you as a board may approve regulations, that's really goes back to the communication piece. It's so that everyone is on the same page and you all understand, what needs to be accomplished and how it's going to be accomplished. But part of your job is also to adopt the curriculum, the textbooks, and any resources that are related to that. You do that every year during your reorganization meeting, but you may do it periodically throughout the year if there's new resources that are being added to a curriculum, or if there's curricular changes that happen, or you're adopting something new, or a new program or a new course, that will all become part of this, and you will be responsible for that. And then your job as a board is also to hold the superintendent accountable for the achievement of the goals. And many times those goals are related to student achievement. So how you do that will be up to you as a team. But we always recommend at school boards that you report out on your district goals as well, and at the same time your board goals, basically 4 times a year. I don't see a lot of districts doing that. So I always say at least twice a year, because if you wait until the end of the year's gone. And so if that's the first time you're looking back at the goals, you're not going to really achieve them. So set a plan, set dates for when you're actually going to report out, when the superintendent's going to report out on the progress of the goals, and when you as a team will also report out on the progress of your board goals. And the superintendent is also responsible for ensuring that the teachers are teaching the student learning standards, that the curriculum is written in accordance with that. They also are responsible for selecting textbooks, and that doesn't mean that your superintendent's looking through all the textbooks and saying, this is the one we're doing. It's usually a collaborative effort that they do, where they work with your staff, and they may look at multiple textbooks. They may pilot something for a little while before they make a decision as teachers, and they will gather feedback from them in that way. The superintendent is also responsible for that master schedule, and most people hate master schedules, but it is the reality, especially in a high school setting. That is probably the most complex master schedule. So you may hear about schedules that aren't working and that they're going to be tweaked, and you can understand then why they're being tweaked and what they're hoping to achieve. You're also getting from the superintendent the analyzing test scores. Now, it may not be done by the superintendent. It could be done by another administrator, maybe a director of curriculum instruction, whoever in the district. But you're going to have an annual reporting out of those test scores, the standardized test scores. But you may also have reporting out of progress from internal benchmarks. Like if you use Linkit or some other testing testing program, that you can have some of that data reported out to you in terms of progress, not by individual student, but more holistically, so you can kind of see if the district is moving in the way that you were hoping they were going to. And then you want to be able to, the superintendent will review those educational opportunities that are being offered, because often you will hear, superintendents hear from students about what they would like to hear or experience within the classroom. And so that may prompt them to create new offerings and maybe take away existing offerings and add some new ones in. We're hearing a lot within the educational community about, looking back at the trades and providing opportunities for students in those areas. That may be something that as a district you are starting to look at. Well, that would be something that would be falling under the superintendent. However, the important part of this is that there's communication about those efforts, and so that you understand the pros and cons of any of the decisions that are falling within any of these areas. And you would think, oh, the business administrator doesn't have anything to do with curriculum instruction, but they actually do. Once again, they are the finance behind all of this. And so they're going to make sure that any of the finances that are being allocated for the different materials that you're using is actually in compliance with the laws that are out there. And there's a lot of them that are there that you as a board don't necessarily need to know. You just have to have faith that your business administrator is doing the right thing. And it also depends if they're a QPA or not. That'll have another impact on what has to be approved up to what dollar amount. So there's other factors that go into this. But they will also ensure that the purchases of all the materials actually are supporting the curriculum instruction. So in other words, if you as a district have approved certain curriculum, but then all of a sudden something comes across the table with a purchase order for something that was never budgeted, that will raise a red flag and start a conversation between, the business administrator, the superintendent, maybe the principals, staff, whoever, so to figure out why something is being put forth that shouldn't have been. And so that's part of that check and balance that goes on in the business office. They want to make sure that the software, and we're seeing in schools, we have more and more different softwares that are available or that are running alongside the different materials that we're using. They all come with licenses. And so that's part of the business administrator's job, is to understand those licenses. And you have a director of technology who will also be sharing that information and working collaboratively with your business administrator. And then in most districts, I don't know if that's true here, but most business administrators are also in charge of transportation and building and grounds and probably a host of other things. But it gives you an idea that their job is pretty encompassing. And so as part of that, they have to make sure all these different pieces are not only funded, but that they're actually running the way that they were supposed to. So I didn't want to go through 101 million questions for you that you can ask and not ask. So within those packets that I gave you, there's probably, I would say, a dozen or more different handouts. These will they're broken down into those 3 different areas, and that will give you some questions that that's very appropriate for a board member to ask within the area of curriculum, budget, and personnel. And so how you ask them and to who you ask them is actually an internal process that you would use as a district. And this varies from district to district. Sometimes in some districts, all questions go to the board president. In other districts, it doesn't go to the board president. It goes directly to the superintendent. In other districts, it has to go to the board president, superintendent, and the BA. All 3 are CC'd on it. There's no right or wrong way. It's just what works for your district. And you guys are talking about onboarding a new board member. You're going to want this in place, that you're all aware of it, and that anyone that's new that comes into your board also understands those processes. Because if you have 9 different board members asking the exact same question of the superintendent or of the business administrator, they're spending more of their time answering those same questions over and over and over instead of having it just asked once. This is one of the reasons why not everyone on the board can go to the board attorney, because that would mean 9 people might be calling the board attorney, raising all of your attorney bills, no offense, but raising those attorney bills for your district, which, is not the way it's supposed to work. You want the questions to come through a channel. So you want to establish those if you don't have them already. Now, I was asked to do a little bit on goal setting as well as the board self-evaluation, how that works. So why do you want to set goals? Really, as a board, you always want to set goals so that you operate better as a board. Your district sets district goals so that they're hyper-focused on one or more things that will help the students achieve more. And so you as a board, within your roles and responsibilities, you want to be a better team. It's great when you have an awesome board member, but if the other 8 aren't awesome, then if that awesome board member is not there, you're not going to do great work. And the best teams are made up of a whole group of educated people that understand what they're supposed to be doing within the roles that they have. And so if you set those goals, then you're moving forward as a team and improving in your knowledge and skills so that you're better board members, and you might get a raise as a board member. I don't know. It would depend on the business administrator and the superintendent. So you have goal development. You actually have 2 different kinds of goals. There's more than 2, but these are the 2 that are mixed up a lot. District goals versus board goals. District goals are set by the board and the superintendent in collaboration, but the superintendent is held responsible for them. So the action plans that are developed for those district goals are developed by the superintendent, and that is to help, really, ultimately, the students. Board goals will also ultimately help students because you'll be a better team, but those are goals that you set as a board team that are within your roles and responsibilities. Recently, I was in a district where we were doing board goals, and we were looking back at last year's goals, and their one goal was raise math test scores in grades 4, 5, and 6 by 20%, and that was their board goal. And I said, that's a great goal. It's very lofty. It's a great goal. However, are all of you in the classroom? And they were like, no. I'm like, so what are you contributing to raising those scores? And they're like, I said, it's a great goal, but it's more a district goal. It's not a board goal. However, if they had added in just a couple of words, which would have been supporting the efforts to increase test scores within math, then it would have been a very appropriate board goal. Why? Because if you go back to what we talked about with curriculum, part of your job is to make sure you have the personnel, the materials, and the supports in place so that teachers can effectively teach those students and meet all the students' needs, so ultimately your test scores will come up. So when you're thinking about district goals versus board goals, those are the difference between the 2. And it doesn't matter what kind of goal you're talking about. They're all going to basically follow this cycle. And the timeline could change also based upon your district. But at some point, you will set some goals. You will decide on these are the most important things to us. We always say 3 to 5 goals, but I was just in a district where they were setting one district goal, and it was a pretty comprehensive district goal, but they only wanted one. They wanted to be hyper-focused on the one. Most districts will set between 3 and 5. You don't want more than 5 because then your superintendent is spending all their time trying to achieve the goals and not actually taking care of the rest of the work. The same thing is for you as a board. You want between 3 and 5. You don't want 10 goals because if you do that, you're going to not be doing the efforts that you should be doing for the board work, and instead, you're going to fall short of what you're hoping to achieve. But you would set a goal, you would create an action plan. So your goal is that statement that you're making to say, this is what I want to achieve. Your action plans are those activities that you're going to do that are going to ensure that you actually achieve that goal. You're going to do measurements as you go along, and you're going to set, I already said, 3 to 4 times a year to actually report out to your community about your progress and to actually reflect on that progress. And it's okay to adjust your goals. If you're moving along and you say, you know what, this isn't the best goal, or we really should have focused on this too, there's nothing saying you can't change those goals. If you as a team decide there needs to be a change, then by all means, go ahead and do that. We always throw in there, by July 1, evaluate the CSA. We do have some districts, believe it or not, that do not hit the July 1st deadline. And I was in one district, and I was doing board goals with them, and it was October. And, you know, I put up there as one of the samples of complete the CSA evaluation by July 1. And I had already talked to them about that, how that's a requirement. It's not a choice, it's a requirement, it's in statute. And they said, well, if it's in statute and it's a requirement, then why are we putting that as a board goal? We're supposed to be doing it. I said, because we're now in October, and you still haven't done the board's superintendent evaluation. And they were like, a good point. Guess what they did this year? They actually got their superintendent evaluation done by July 1. So by putting those goals in that you really want to work towards and staying hyper-focused on them, you will actually achieve them. So you can follow this cycle. And effective school boards, there's studies that have been done, and in those studies, Iowa is a big one, where they found that the most effective boards are those that actually set goals. And when you set a goal and you create an action plan to support that, and you report out and you reflect on it, you will be the best board that you can possibly be. So how do you do that if you're deciding to do a board self-evaluation? And by all means, you do not need to use New Jersey School Board's resource. However, it's already built for you, so it's there if you want to. At the very least, if you're not using this, then you should do a formalized reflection piece where you as a board are contemplating on what you've done well as a board and what you could improve in. And that will help guide you. But that's what the board self-evaluation is. It's directly on our website. You would click the Begin Now button, and it's in the same spot as a CSA evaluation. You would click Begin Now, and then you go in and you simply answer all the questions that are in there. You rate yourself, and you can add in comments. The one caveat to that is that the board president, and I know you were just elected at the last board meeting, but your job is to go in first and actually either type in the board goals from this past year, or if you did not have board goals from this past year, then you click the little box in the upper left-hand corner that says board has no goals. Once you do that, then you can notify the rest of the board and say you all can go in and start to do your personal self-evaluation of our board. Once that's all done, I can compile it. I can either come in and present it and talk to you guys about it, and we can do a deep dive into it, or in some districts, they don't want that. They just want it sent to the board president, and then the team gets together and they start to talk about it on their own. Either way, it's up to you, but that is an option that's available to you. And then once you, when we always say, like, the best place to start is to actually reflect, and this is one of the reasons why the board president puts those in first, is to reflect on last year's goals. Because you may look at last year's goals and say, these were really good and we achieved all of them, and we don't need them anymore, and let's create new ones. But it's okay to also not have achieved something, or have achieved it but want to do more within it. So it's okay if a goal ends up being multiple years. So you create those goals, and then you decide even if something you didn't achieve, it's not the most relevant thing right now, and there's something else that's more important, you can get rid of a goal that you didn't achieve and put in a new one. Once you create the goals, then develop your action plans, and then actually do your action plans. And within the action plans, you're going to see that, I'll go ahead too, you see that it looks like this. This is just a sample one, you can do your own. But you list your goal. Some boards do put objectives down, which is like sub-areas underneath those goals. But if you don't, that's fine too. You can list your goal. But you list all the activities you plan on doing in order to reach that goal. And then you identify who's going to be involved in it, what resources you may need, the timelines, and that's an important one because you want to know when you think you're going to achieve that activity by. Because if you don't have the timelines down, then once again, just like that reporting out and reflecting, if you wait until the last minute, you'll never achieve those activities. So put your timelines in, and then the indicators of success are how do you know you actually accomplished that activity? That may be a presentation at a board meeting, that may be a report that is provided, it may be data that's shared, it could be many different things. It could just be a resolution on the board agenda. So it depends on what your goals are. So that's what an action plan looks like, and I'll go back one. These are just examples of board goals if you've never seen one before, if you're new to the board, or your board has never had one. These are just some samples that you can look at and develop on your own based upon that. Any questions? Yep.
Back to finances.
Yep.
Guardian of the district's finances, review and approve, understand and adopt the budget, set the local tax levy, ensure money is spent as intended.
Yep.
Intended. Where, within that formula, does the state and the state's funding formula and its
Come into play? That is part of when you're actually creating the budget, because what will happen is from the state or federal, because you can get it from both sources, you could be receiving money as a district, and that's after the budget addressed by the governor and so on and so forth. Your board would be then notified what you're going to be receiving in those two areas, which then get factored in. And so those are considered like revenue streams that your district has coming in. So you have revenue coming in and you have expenditures going out, and that you're balancing the two of those. So when you're in your finance committee or committee of the whole, when you're in those meetings and you're talking about the budget, you're going to be looking or should be looking at all those different pieces. Like, is our state aid increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it flat? Is our federal aid increasing, decreasing, or flat? Like Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, those are all part of federal. So that'll be information that will be shared with you by your business administrator when you're having these meetings, so that you have an idea of it. Unfortunately, as a district, it's information that's provided to the district from either the state or the federal. It's not something that we say, no, that's not enough, we want more. We try, but we don't get very far, as you can imagine. And so that's where the whole debate about the school funding formula has come in. And you know, there's some districts that have spent a lot of money trying to advocate on part of it. School boards advocates on part of it, but you know, right now it's still in flux. We don't know what that school funding formula is going to be. They keep saying they're going to work on it, but it hasn't been worked on. So I can't tell you, and that's part of this whole process. Is in the beginning, it's projecting what you think it's going to be, and then that's where you build a budget from. You say, okay, we think we're going to get flat state aid, we think we're going to get flat federal aid, and we know that this is what we have coming in from our taxes. So let's put that's our revenue stream. This is what the dollar amounts that we think we're going to have, and so now let's look at all our expenditures, and then they start to deduct from that revenue stream until they get to zero. And then that is your budget. And that's where a lot of times our wants and needs, those expenditures, are higher than our revenue. And then that's where we got to start cutting from those expenditures as a result. And that's that prioritization that comes in. So your job is to understand that process and understand that what's in our control and what's not in our control. And the state and federal dollars are unfortunately not in our control. Grants are in your control if you're going for grants. Your revenue from your taxes are in your control, but in a lot of ways not in your control, because you know you're answering to taxpayers. There was a lot of that this year where districts were going up 25, 28% in their tax increase. I live in one of the towns that got hit with 10.1, and that was to save a school, and they were still closing the school. So the health benefits, that was a big factor this year, and probably will continue to be a factor. So that will be information that will be shared with you by your superintendent and your BA as a board about where they project things to be. And then when that information finally is shared, they can then say, this is actually where we are. And then they have to start doing the mad dash to try to, you know, get to that dollar amount based upon what they actually receive. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but.
It does. I just hope the day arrives where that mad dash is not necessary and the state gets
Would be
its act
nice.
together.
Yeah.
I do have one other question related to goal setting.
Yeah.
Listening to our board president and the desire, I believe, of all of us, to pursue a collaborative effort amongst the local school districts, to rally for the success of all students and all coming into the Pinelands Regional District. I truly hope that working together, we can, not only here at Pinelands, but from the elementary level up, focus on attendance and math scores. And again, cooperatively work together to improve those amongst other things. Could that be a goal, being that it's to work with
So
other
yeah.
districts in our region, or no?
it can be. It really depends on the wording that you're putting in there and what the actual activities that you'd be involved in, because you as a board are not necessarily going to.
We won't be in the classroom. but
Right,
we
you're not
can
going to be in the
support.
classroom. You're not going to be implementing or telling, what things need to be implemented to improve those absentee rates.
But offering our support could be a
100%.
goal?
Now, your support could be a lot of different things. Your support could be hearing from whoever in the district is presenting on the current state of affairs, whether it be your district as well as those other districts. Maybe that's an effort that maybe all the districts are doing. Maybe they have a combined presentation to all the different boards about where each one is at, because maybe what you're experiencing here, because they're coming to you, may not be the same issue that's happening in all of them. Maybe some of them don't have an absenteeism issue, but others do. Maybe they all do. But that is a great thing for like your administrative team to be collaborating with them about, because why reinvent the wheel 4 different times? They can actually share some of the resources that they have. You as a board can hear what the proposed efforts are and then support those. And then part of that would be also then getting feedback on the progress of it, so that you understand whether the time, effort, money that you're putting towards those efforts is actually yielding what you're hoping it's going to yield. And part of that would be looking at that absenteeism rate or whatever other area you focus on. Yep, so it's possible. It's just a matter of how you word it.
And it is possible as a regional school district that we do work together with the other districts, the elementary districts?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of districts that are in the send receive already do a lot of that work. So, for example, within the area of curriculum.
I don't think we do.
Okay, well, a lot of districts, when they have a send receive relationship, they'll have conversations with the other districts about what curriculum they're using, where are they seeing. So, for example, if they're coming to me, I'm looking at the kids that are coming in, where are their gaps within their scores in the different various areas, and I can track to see, are they coming from this district, this district, this district? Because if I find that they're coming from this one district, I want to see what curriculum are they using at those lower levels to see what it is that we have to do at this level, because I can't control what they're doing there, but I can control the supports that I create here to address the shortcomings there. But I can also share with them as a district, I can share with them as a superintendent, where I see their issues are, and share what we're doing as a district that we're having a positive impact. And so maybe they're going to learn from us as a result. Vice versa. They maybe do something really well and you might not be, and you'll learn from them. So that's from the administrative level. Those conversations can be happening and should be happening, and then you as a board would be supporting those efforts. So putting those words in front of it, like support the efforts of improving absenteeism, and that's where I said it really comes down to the,
no
right.
doubt that the administration, the teachers here do. I mean, as boards, the local school boards working together to support each of their.
You can absolutely do that.
Okay, thank you.
I know you had your hand up too, right?
I just was curious, when is there a deadline for the federal and state financial known to the Board of Education?
So it always will depend on the governor's address. I want to say, they give her an extra week. This year was an extra week, right? After the address. So normally I think it's 2 weeks.
Last year we got them at the end of February.
Yeah, so usually around the February time period. But it always depends if it's a brand new governor or the governor is in the second year.
So
So that will vary that date, but it's always in February. And each year, you know, it'll be whatever number of days it is after the address.
So that amount would be known by the people who are planning the new budget, correct?
At that point, yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm, yeah, yeah. Because what happens is the state, it's through the state system, they're notified through their platform, and then they'll know the state aid numbers. Now, what that means, because it does take a little bit to digest because you're getting different numbers that are coming in, so you may see like preschool education grant money is higher, but then you may see your, you know, individual student aid numbers lower, and so you got to look at how that all pans out in the end. So that may take your administrative team a minute to digest it, because in order for them to present it to your board, they've got to understand it. They don't want to leave you where you're saying, asking the questions, they're saying, well, I don't know yet. So you got to give them a little bit of time, and they can kind of give you an idea. I expect it on this date from the state, and I plan to report out to the board on this date. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tehan, for sharing with us. We appreciate you, the insight. I'm sorry?
Doctor.
Oh, Dr. Tehan, I'm sorry. Just Tim, okay. Dr. Tim, Mr. Dr. Tim, there we go. Sorry about that.
With that presentation, are we able to change the organizational chart back to what it should be when it was changed by someone other than the board on December 14th or December 17th, 2024?
I'm sure we can look into the organizational chart. I don't know if that, whose jurisdiction that actually falls under. I guess it's ours.
We vote.
I mean, I think we certainly can.
Yeah.
So the question was about looking into the organizational chain of command was changed, I believe, in December of 2024, I think.
By not the board.
By not the board, but by the administration. And
So most organizational charts will have the board at the top, and then one line coming down from the board to the superintendent. And then all the lines, because I don't know your structure here, but all the lines off the superintendent to all the staff. The reason why that's set up that way is because even though you're technically the boss of everyone in the district, there's only one person that you're permitted to talk to and direct, and that's the superintendent as a team. So it always should be the board to the superintendent. The superintendent then does everyone else within your structure. I just don't know what your structure is, so like if you had a director of technology, a director of, special ed, a director of curriculum instruction, they would all be off of the superintendent, and then you probably have your principals and supervisors below that. Does that make sense? I would suggest looking at some other districts.
Well, it was correct before it was
Oh,
changed,
So you can go back to what you
yeah.
had then.
The person just didn't like that.
Yeah,
The
so
board
you
was
can
above
go back
them.
to what you had as long as it's generally that structure.
Yeah.
I think it would be great if we could see the old one and then compare it to the one that's here and make the necessary adjustments. Thank you. All right, that was item B under number 5, new business. Do we have any old business?
So at this board retreat, I know I mentioned it like last year, can we set board district goals this year? Or board goals, I should say. not district goals, but.
So at the board retreat, I believe the district goals will be set. I don't believe we would be setting the board goals at that retreat, but I think part of Dr. Tehan's next presentation on August 10th, I believe after
That's
that is
when
when
we're
we can
gonna
begin to
do
start making the board goals. I think Dr. Clark and Crystal and I talked about this the other day. You may jump in, please do.
I just confirmed with Dr. Tian that he is going to be sending me information so that the board can complete a self-assessment on their own. And then at our special meeting on August 10th, the board will look at the results of that self-assessment that will be done online and can set board goals at that point.
Okay, thank you.
So more information will be forthcoming.
Yeah, I just know it was always frowned upon by the board to act as a board before, so I'm glad to see that we're moving forward.
All right, anything else under old business? All right, we'll move on to item number 6, Residents Forum. Agenda items only. Board policy number 0167 encourages community participation in every meeting. However, the board requests that the public respect a 3-minute time limit when commenting on agenda items. I don't see that we have any residents for the Residents Forum, so we will move on to number 7, instructional. Recommend a motion to approve instructional items A through K. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All right, seeing that there is no discussion, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Ms. Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes, for everything. F, the only thing I say no to is Ms. DeFrancia attending the field trip.
Noted. Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Vaux?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin? Yes. Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 8, personnel. Recommend the motion to approve the following personnel items A through AA. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we will move to a roll call vote.
Ms. Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
A through G, yes. H, no. I, J, yes. K, no. L, M, yes. N, O, N, no. O, P, Q, yes. R, S, no. T through Z, yes.
Noted. Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Vaux?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin? Yes. Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 9, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Recommend the motion to approve the following HIB item A. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we will go to a roll call vote.
Ms. Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Abstain.
Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Vaux?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin? Yes. Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 10, policies and procedures. Recommend motion to approve policies and procedures items A through C. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we will go to a roll call vote.
Ms. Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Vaux?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin? Yes. Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 11, operations. Recommend a motion to approve the following operations items A through E. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Patty
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Vox?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 12, report of Board Secretary, Business Administrator. Recommend motion to approve the report of the Board Secretary, Business Administrator, items A through N. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any questions?
Can I ask a quick question? For the bills and claims list, can you just explain, the bills list and then the cleanup run, what that is?
So for the last, in July, we try to clean up as many purchase orders in the previous school year, so we don't have to roll them over. So it's typical that school districts do that in July, so then we do that, we run the checks, and then we only roll over the purchase orders that are unpaid at that time, and it just makes it so it's a little less. Because at the, I don't know what the date of the regular June meeting is, you don't have all the invoices yet, but you do have them. So we usually have 2 bills.
Great, thank you for that.
Any other questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Ms. Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
July, I could say yes. June, I recuse. And then, B through G, yes, except for training and travel, Kelly Green and Kelly Ramirez. And then H through O, yes.
Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes, except for the bills list on items concerning the Wiener Law Group. No.
Noted. Mr. Vox?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I had to recuse from July, not June. I don't know if I could go back. It just has too many attorney ones that I'm conflicted on. Okay.
Okay, I will note that.
So July recused, June, yes.
Noted. Motion carries.
All right, item number 13, informational items, which include the monthly attendance report. Item number 14, residence forum, general topics. Board policy number 0167 encourages community participation in every meeting. However, the board requests that the public respect the 3-minute time limit when commenting on any topic.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Clark. My name is Lauren Miglino Runza. I'm a lifelong resident of Little Egg Harbor here. I want to address you concerning an issue I'm having regarding some pension time. I have written my thoughts down because this is a very emotional issue for me, and I wanted to make sure that I remained calm while I speak about this. I'm here today regarding an ongoing pension issue that has remained unresolved since 2018. To provide some background, I'm a Pinelands alumnus, as is my brother. My mother worked for the district for more than 30 years. Both my children, my brother's children, attended Pinelands, and I began working for the district in the 1990s as a substitute and continued working here on and off throughout 2019. During that time, I served here under many capacities, including a substitute teacher, a substitute aide, long-term clerk typist, media center specialist, teacher's aide, and a teacher. I was also contracted by the district under 2 separate occasions. I have always believed in the motto, once a wildcat, always a wildcat. Unfortunately, the way I have been treated over the last 8 years concerning this issue is deeply disappointing. Despite this ongoing issue, I have continued to support this district whenever I have been asked. I serve as deputy chief of the local fire department and the first aid squad, and I have responded to countless requests from Pinelands staff, whether it was provided a place for the drama department to rehearse during school snow closures, arranging an ambulance to stand by for football games and graduations, bringing a fire truck here for pep rallies, and most recently, providing a fire truck and a Santa sleigh for a school event and a pep rally for the principal here. I have continuously stepped up without hesitation. I've gone above and beyond for this district, and I believe I have earned some courtesy of a timely assistance in respect in return. In 2018, I contacted the state regarding my pension and was informed that substitute service would be accumulated and was able to be purchased as pensionable time. I then contacted Cynthia Hoffman in the board office to obtain verification of my accumulated service. Ms. Hoffman informed me that it was not the district's responsibility to keep track of my employment and that I would need to compile my own records and provide her with the dates of service that I worked here. After spending several months gathering records, speaking with teachers for whom I substituted, contacting those responsible for assigning me long-term positions, I created a detailed list and submitted it to Mrs. Hoffman. I then applied to the state to purchase this service credit. After months without a response from her, I contacted her again. She explained that she had been out on extended medical leave and had not yet reviewed my information, but she would do so shortly. Later, she attributed the delay to COVID and again assured me that the matter would be handled immediately. Meanwhile, several requests from the state asking Pinelands to verify my employment went unanswered. This continued through 2021. In 2022, I was informed that Ms. Hoffman no longer worked for the district and that Sarah O'Toole would now be handling my case. I forwarded all of my previous correspondence to Ms. O'Toole and explained the history of the matter. She informed me that she could not rely on the information that I am submitting and that she would need to research this and verify my information. This directly contradicted the guidance that I have received from Ms. Hoffman 4 years earlier. Despite numerous emails and conversations with Mrs. O'Toole, many emails which had gone unanswered, the issue remained unresolved. I then contacted Mrs. Frasca, who assured me it would be taken care of. I reapplied to the state for the pension buyback time once again. 3 separate requests from the state for employment verification were ignored by Ms. O'Toole. After sending a first, second, and third notice from the state, the district still did not respond and the state closed my case. I again contacted Mr. Frasca, who was appalled by this. She referred over the matter to Mrs. Farrow instead. After several weeks, Ms. Farrow responded and she confirmed my employment. Based on that confirmation, I once again applied to the pension buyback program. Unfortunately, the same thing happened again. The state sent 3 additional requests to Mrs. O'Toole for her to verify my employment, even though Mrs. Farrow had already done so. None of the state's requests were answered, and my application was denied yet again because the district failed to verify my employment. After additional emails with Mrs. O'Toole that went unresponded to, I contacted Ms. Frasca again in April and let her know what was going on. She assured me that she would speak to Mrs. O'Toole and assured the matter would be resolved. In June, I received another copy of the state's 3rd and final request, yet again, to Pinelands, to Mrs. O'Toole, for my employment verification. which has gone unanswered again. I contacted Mrs. Frasca and explained that this has now been an 8-year ordeal. Let me repeat that. This has been an 8-year ordeal. No one should have to fight this hard simply to receive benefits they have earned. Because of these repeated delays, I have now experienced more than a $20,000 increase in my salary. As a result, when this matter is finally resolved, I will be required to pay a substantial more amount to purchase my pension credit than I would have had this been finished in a timely manner. That financial burden exists solely because this matter has been allowed to continue unresolved. I have been extraordinarily patient throughout this process. I do not believe that most people would have spent 8 years repeatedly gathering records, reapplying, following up after being ignored time and time again, especially by a district to which their family, my family, has dedicated years of service. If the district truly believes once a wildcat, always a wildcat, then this issue should have been resolved years ago. In my last correspondence with Mrs. Frasca in June, I requested that this matter be resolved within 45 days and advised that if not, I would have no choice but to seek legal counsel. As of today, I have received no response from anyone in the district still. My last correspondence was on 6/17/26. Here with me today, I have 23 correspondences from the state to this district and 26 emails between myself, Mrs. O'Toole, Ms. Hoffman, and Ms. Frasca with no resolution. I would like to give you copies of these emails and these 23 correspondences from the state showing first, second, and third requests to verify my employment. These will include emails from Ms. Hoffman, Ms. O'Toole, and Ms. Frasca. And I would ask that you please resolve this situation within the time frame that I have requested. Pinelands has been my heart and my soul for my whole life. This is why I wanted a written response here, because I did not want to get emotional. I'm sure that Dr. Clark can tell you my love and my dedication for this district, this building, and this township. The time and effort that I spend supporting this township, and for my district to not support me and to continuously blow me off, not for months, but years, is heartbreaking. And the last thing I would ever want to do is hurt this district and create a hassle in a time when you have so many other things going on in this district right now, to now bring on another attorney, another lawsuit, another scandal. So I cordially ask you to review my material and rectify this as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Runza. First, I want to just apologize for this delay in the process. This terrible that you've had to go through that for so long. Second, I'd like to say we do appreciate your service to our community and appreciate how your company, fire company, has provided ambulances and all kinds of support. We do appreciate that, and we will definitely be in touch with you in the next week. Thank you.
These are emails that when you read them, just take into consideration that it's like the last email first and everything. So it'll be all
The order is
backwards
all-
and,
yeah.
and so I can get anything else. Can you write your phone number?
You already
Yeah.
wrote it up there, right?
No, I didn't. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you so
okay.
much.
Very much for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing that there's no one else for residents forum, we are going to convene into executive session. And following executive session, we do expect that action will be taken. So may I have a motion to convene into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Miss Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Stephanie Johnson?
Yes.
Miss, I have to get back to Miss Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Mr. Voss?
Yes.
Miss Crystal Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. We're heading into executive. May I have a motion to reconvene back into the public session?
Motion.
Second.
All right. We are on item 16.
Roll call.
Oh,
I mean,
sorry. Timeout, reverse, strike that, reverse it. Roll call vote, please.
Or you could just do all.
Yeah, you can just do roll call. I mean, all in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carried. Item 18, board forum. Would anyone like to? What? Oh, sure. My apologies. Motion to approve retaining the services of Digital 4NX to conduct a forensic audit of specified technical systems pending attorney review.
Motion?
Second.
Any questions? All right, seeing that there are no questions, roll call vote, please.
Can you just repeat? It's, okay,
I have it all written down there.
Ms. Betty?
Yes.
Ms. Grasso?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Patty Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
yes.
Mr. Voss?
Yes.
Ms. Crystal Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hewitt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we're on item number 16, board forum. Anybody like to share anything? Going once, going twice. All right. Item number 17, a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.
I now know 9:17 is when you